Welcome, friends. In Christianity, we accept the existence of angels who are messengers sent by God to us on earth. Indeed, the name angel means messenger of God and is of Greek origin. In this episode, I will look to the Bible to attest to their presence and activities among humankind. What does the Catechism of the Catholic Church say about angels? In Article 350, it explains, angels are spiritual creatures who glorify God without ceasing and who serve His saving plans for other creatures. The angels work together for the benefit of us all. Thus, let us be reminded that these heavenly beings created by God exist to serve God in achieving the good of humanity. Acknowledging their roles as divine messengers and who serve Christ their Lord, the Church allows for the veneration of the angels who help her, the Church, on her earthly pilgrimage. Thus, the Church has set aside the 29th of September in the liturgical calendar as the feast of Holy Archangels Michael, Gabriel and Raphael. Now, knowing that there is a heavenly host of angels, why then are these three angels singled out for the feast? This is because they are specifically named in the Bible, and the Bible records them as having served God in particular actions or have served as messengers of God. Going slightly backwards to talk about what angels look like, let me reference Dr. Peter Kreeft, professor in philosophy and Catholic writer of many books, through his excellent book, Angels and Demons, What Do We Really Know About Them? Angels are bodiless spirits, intangible and invisible. Recall in the Creed we say, God created all things, visible and invisible. They can put on a disguise, usually of human form. Recall again, three angels in the disguise of men appeared to Abraham at the Oak of Mamre, and who ate of what Abraham served them. What about our accepted perception that angels are beautiful creatures with wings? Well, Dr. Kreeft suggests that all these perceptions are as a result of how artists, over the years, through their imaginations, depicted angels, and also imbued these depictions with symbolic meanings. Wings for speed, halos of light for wisdom or holiness, musical instruments for beauty of spiritual harmony, cherubic babies for innocence. So thus, our perceptions of angels have really very much been sealed by these artistic representations. By the way, too, since angels are spirits, they are neither male or female. It is us that have determined that the names Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael are reserved as male names. But in art, I find that many angels are drawn somewhat with characteristics of both gender. I wonder if you will agree as we see paintings of them. Through the Old Testament to the New Testament, angels are recorded for their interactions with various people and in acting in various situations. But only three are named, and we begin with the Archangel Michael. His name is a Hebrew exclamation of faith. Who is like God? And the expected answer would be, there is none as powerful as God. In art, Michael wears and holds symbols of battle. This is because Michael is the archangel who defends the church and protects us from the evil one. Michael is mentioned 4 times in the Bible, twice in the book of Daniel, the letter of Jude, and the book of Revelation. I would like to read from Revelation, as Michael is depicted in art mostly as described in Revelation. In chapter 12, verse 7, "And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back, but they were defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. The great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan. He, deceiver of the whole world, he was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." So Michael is shown to us as doing battle with the angels who have rebelled against God. In this painting by Peter Paul Rubens, at the left of the composition, the archangel and other angels cast out Satan, the great red dragon with 7 heads, reference chapter 12, verse 3, and other ghoulish demons. See the ferocity of Michael's expression as he holds a flaming sword in his right hand to strike, as well as his right leg that presses down on one of the heads of the dragon. Rubens draws the serpent and other demons falling downwards in a writhing mass. He also adds the continuing battle after the demons have fallen to earth, and where Revelation tells of the dragon pursuing the woman who had just given birth. Here too, we see the woman of the Apocalypse, acknowledged to be the Virgin Mary. Verse 14 says the woman was given 2 wings of the great eagle so she could take flight. And we see at the top God the Father instructing an angel to place wings on the Virgin's shoulders. The artist has contrasted good with evil by juxtaposing the agony and gruesomeness of the demons as they fall into hell, with the Virgin and child rising heavenward at the right. This is a dramatic scene created by Rubens, and we recall that Michael refers to himself as the prince of the heavenly host in the book of Daniel. In this painting by Raphael, St. Michael is depicted with colorful wings, strong muscular arms and legs, clad in golden armor and with sword and spear. Look at the details on the wings and armor, and the details at the edge of the skirt. The archangel has a triumphant look. Look at Satan. Raphael has given him a scepter to suggest his ambition of achieving power, but his wings are stiff and bent, unable to take flight. The artist shows Satan having a mix of dragon-like, demon-like, and human-like features. The overall composition of this painting draws the viewer's eyes in an arc from the widespread wings against the brightness of sky towards the golden hue of Michael's armor and arms. From there, even though Michael seemingly looks light-footed, the arc of his arms with the spear draws our eyes towards the downward thrust of the spear, attacking the devil who lays vanquished and immobilized at the shadowy bottom of this composition. In this version by Luca Giordano, the triumphant Michael is more muscular, and the more discernible twist of the torso makes him look more powerful as he fights. The skirt of his robe and folds of his cloak seem even to shift and billow from the force of the thrust. Giordano paints bestial devils and hellish landscape. The fingers of the demon on the left taper into pointy fingernails. Their leathery, bat-like wings are in marked contrast to the feathery white of the archangel. The demon pierced by Michael emits a primal howl with his last breath of life. The background has a sulfuric quality. One could almost choke on the red and brown mist. Through the coloration of the background, a serpent wrapped around an arm, a howling beast, and the foot of a falling demon, The painter has shown a fearsome scene of hell, but Archangel Michael conquers. We move on to the Archangel Gabriel. His name means God is my strength. His symbols in art is a scepter tipped either with a fleur-de-lis or a stalk of lily, symbolizing purity, since he is most associated with appearing to the Virgin Mary. Gabriel is mentioned 4 times in the Bible, twice in the book of Daniel and twice in the Gospel of Luke. Let us first read of his first appearance in Luke's Gospel to Zechariah the high priest. Then there appeared to him an angel of the Lord, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. Zechariah is terrified, but the angel tells him not to be afraid, and also tells him his wife Elizabeth will bear him a son. When Zechariah questions this, the angel replied, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God." In this painting by Renaud Levoux, the artist follows as described in the scriptures. The angel appears at the right side of the altar where incense burns. The archangel is gowned somewhat simply, even with bare feet. Without the wings, Gabriel could pass as a mere person. But perhaps the bright blue robes give him a presence that startles Zechariah, who reacts with fear. Zechariah is gowned in contrast to the simplicity of the archangel. He is richly gowned with chest ornaments and gold-trimmed robe, as befits a high priest. He grips the censer tightly with his right hand, startled by the angel, while his left arm is raised in fear or in protection of himself. Gabriel's right arm, just softly pointing, seems to reach out in reassurance. We note that in Gabriel's reply, he states that he stands in the presence of God, thereby telling Zechariah of his high angelic rank. This version by James Tissot has a mood of the mysterious and perhaps even the spiritual, where both man and angel are enveloped in misty clouds. Gabriel is supernaturally tall, and do you notice he is elevating so slightly above the ground? His right hand indicates he has a message from God, while his left hand is already predicting Zechariah will be struck dumb for doubting the message. Tissot's depiction of Gabriel's rank is unusual. Can you see that he has given the archangel 6 wings? In religious art, an angel with 6 wings is a seraphim, the highest ranking angel. According to medieval beliefs, there are 3 orders of spiritual beings. A seraphim belongs to the highest order, and an archangel is 2 ranks below, in the lowest order. So this interpretation of Gabriel the archangel by Tissot is quite unusual. The next time Gabriel appears in Luke's Gospel is in a scene we all know, the Annunciation to the Virgin Mary. In that passage, we are told the angel Gabriel was sent by God to Nazareth to deliver the most astounding of news from God to a young girl called Mary. There are countless paintings of the Annunciation, so how do I even begin to select what to share here? I shall then share the A-lister artists, 3 artists whose names rank in artist stratosphere. The first painting is by Fra Angelico and is perhaps one of the most famous and most reproduced. Our focus is not on analyzing the depiction of the Annunciation, but at the portrayal of the Archangel. I think I can easily summarize all depictions of Gabriel as beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Gabriel is frequently portrayed that way. This Gabriel is delicate and dressed in a simple one-layered gown, just with a band of embellishment across the chest. And what makes him beautiful too are the colorful flourishes of his wings, with each feather intricately drawn and given detail. But look at the stance of Gabriel. Earlier on, he boasts of his stature to Zechariah, of him standing in the presence of God. But in here, Gabriel is half kneeling, almost in veneration on his part to a young woman who will bear the Savior of the world. In this interpretation, the greetings of Gabriel seem gentle because Mary does not seem troubled. They both incline towards each other, looking into each other's eyes, as if engaged in a private conversation. This is a truly beautiful and serene scene of Gabriel's appearance to Mary. The next A-lister is Sandro Botticelli. In his interpretation, the portrayal of Gabriel has a greater sense of engagement and movement. The angel's raised hand and a more expressive look in the eyes and mouth makes us think that the message from God is being revealed at that very instant. Gabriel also carries a symbol associated with him, a stalk of lilies. Looking at the numerous folds of the back of Gabriel's robe, it is as if Gabriel had swept into the room, but also immediately prostrates upon seeing the Virgin. Mary's stance shows her conflicting reactions. Her body both twists away in fear, but also turns towards the angel. Her one hand seems to recoil in shock, but the other straightens out to reach out to Gabriel's hand. While this is a sacred moment between a heavenly being and an earthly creature, Botticelli still shows the separation between them. Mary is rendered as a solid figure, while portions of the angel are translucent. You will all recognize this name, Leonardo da Vinci. His Gabriel, on first glance, is similar to Botticelli's, but is more elaborately gowned, and the control of the folds over the anatomy of the body very perfect. Even the curls of the hair are perfect. The fingers are elegant, and his two fingers of the right hand is like a benediction to Mary. Da Vinci's Gabriel has a more solid corporal body, suggested by the shadow cast on the grass, and the folds of his body draped accurately on the form. This version of Gabriel is humble in the presence of the Virgin, but at the same time has a certain sense of preeminence. Let me share with you two other depictions of Gabriel from later periods. The earlier three were from the High Renaissance period, but as different art movements developed, we see here two paintings from the late 19th century. These two paintings by Edward Burne-Jones and Frederick James Shields seem to emphasize more the angels as spirits, since both Gabriels hover above the ground, and in Shields' depiction, more ethereal. I will leave you to decide which version of Gabriel you like best. Now for a last look at Gabriel. I think this is the most accurate interpretation. Henry Osawa Tanner depicts Gabriel simply as a bright light, intangible, without form. But look at how the light infuses the whole room, and look at the expression on Mary's face. So much to be discussed. In fact, paintings of the Annunciation can be a separate project on its own. Maybe. Last but not least, the Archangel Raphael, whose name means God heals. He holds a staff because he is a companion on a journey, or he could be holding a fish or a vessel. The fish will provide the healing balm that will be contained in this vessel. Raphael is mentioned only in the deuterocanonical book of Tobit. Time does not permit me to recount Raphael's story, but if you are not familiar, do read the book of Tobit. It is a beautiful book about the human condition. Raphael is first named in chapter 3, verse 17. He was sent to heal Tobit of the medical defect of his eyes and to heal Sarah from demonic bondage. He continues to be named in other chapters, but let's talk about Raphael accompanying the young man Tobias on his journey to Media. In chapter 5, verse 4, Tobias, upon instructions of his father Tobit, seeks a companion to show him the way. Raphael, in the guise of a man, tells Tobias he is called Azariah. In these two paintings, one by the workshop of Andrea Verrocchio and the other by Santi di Tito, let's look at the similarities. Tobias walks either arm in arm or hand in hand with Raphael. Of course, we the viewers will see Raphael as an angel, but Tobias sees a man, since Raphael has masqueraded as Azariah, a relative. They gaze at each other's eyes as they walk, and their physical connections suggest theirs was a journey of close companionship and conversation. Notice the little furry dog that accompanies them. The dog belongs to Tobias, and yes, it is mentioned in the scripture verses. So dog lovers will be very pleased with this little detail. The mood of the painting on the far left seems lighter, with fair weather and a breeze lifting the curls of the young boy and both their clothes. The one on the right gives a mood of greater intimacy through the closeness of their bodies. The arch of the angel's wings seem to form a shield of protection. Notice in both paintings, Tobias holds a fish, a larger one in the painting on the right, and Raphael holds a vessel that contains the inner parts of the fish. I will talk about the role the fish plays in the next paintings. In chapter 6, we are told that when Tobias went down to wash his feet in the Tigris River, a large fish leapt up and tried to swallow his foot. Depicted in this painting by Jacopo Vinali, Raphael instructs Tobias to catch hold of the fish instead, to cut up the fish and take out the heart, liver, and gall. The vessel before Tobias is opened, ready to keep these fish parts. His pet dog surely must have been very inquisitive by what it sees and smells. Our attention too would be arrested by the very large size of that fish and its still gleaming eye. If we have read the book of Tobit, we will know that later, on the wedding night of Tobias and Sarah, Tobias burns the heart and liver, and the odors repelled the demon so much that he fled forever from his possession over Sarah to the remotest parts of Egypt. But Raphael followed him and bound him there hand and foot. In this last painting by Bernardo Strozzi, Tobias is back at his father's house. This scene is the moving conclusion of the story of Tobias. Strozzi has paid careful attention to the portrayal of the different emotions of each character. Old Tobit sits in tense anticipation. His wife Anna looks on with frightened hope. Tobias and the angel are attentive and concentrating. Even the dog looks on with interest. With his wings majestically spread out, Raphael places a hand on Tobias' shoulders, to gently guide him. Tobias applies the gall of the fish into the eyes of his father. Then he peels off the white films from the eyes that have impaired the vision of Tobit. The artist beautifully captures this moment of a miraculous cure. And very soon after, Raphael will reveal his identity as an angel to them. For our reflection, on this feast of the Holy Archangels, we are blessed that God has appointed them to be in our midst, to protect us from the evil one who wishes to snare us, to bring us messages he wishes us to hear, whether through angels in disguise or in our hearts, and to heal us of our every medical and spiritual afflictions. So friends, join me in praising God with the words that Tobit spoke when he was completely healed. Blessed be God, and blessed be his holy name, and blessed be all his holy angels. May his holy name be blessed throughout all the ages. Amen.